Well, the sun is shining once again at Balaton Park. My name is Michael Hill and welcome to the opening round, race number 2 of the 2026 Yamaha R3 BLU CRU World Cup. You can see the temperature, track temperature already 28 degrees. It's almost 20 degrees local temperature here at this amazing facility that was built back in 2023. It was used for the first time for motorcycle racing last year, both for World Superbike and for MotoGP, and it was also used for a couple of races in the 2025 R3 BLU CRU World Cup. That was a championship that was ultimately won by Alessandro Di Persio, who finished second in last year's opening race before winning race number 2. Yesterday we had the opening round of the 2026 season as the riders, all 23 of them, make their way out on the sighting lap to form up on the grid ahead of what will be race number 2. 23 riders, 11 nationalities, with Japan having the most riders on the grid. 5 riders from Japan, 4 from Italy, 3 from Brazil, 2 riders each from Portugal, the United States of America and the UK, and then 1 solitary rider from Austria, the Netherlands, Spain, Switzerland and the Dominican Republic. There is the number 6. Talking of the Dominican Republic, that is Charlie Mendez, fastest in FP1 on Friday, fastest in qualifying, just got pipped to the post yesterday in race number 1 of the season. Eamon Bocanegra, his Brazilian rival, just getting the win ahead of Charlie Mendez, and Alessandro Binder, the young Swiss rider who raced in a couple of races towards the end of last season. He got his first ever World Cup podium finish in 3rd place yesterday. It was an exciting race as we take a look at the grid for race number 2, which is defined by fastest laps. Mottola, Bocanegra and Pastore. Mottola, who finished in 9th place yesterday with the fastest lap. Mendez, Okada and Takamoto. Binder, Clark and Takahira. We go back further through the grid to row number 5, Germano Salvatore. Nathan Betancourt there scored his first World Cup points yesterday, becoming the 2nd American to do so. And Charlie Huntingford in 15th place became the first British rider since Fenton Seabright to score points in the Yamaha R3 BLU CRU World Cup. This is the SBK roadway as we get a look then at the poleman for today. If you are new to the championship, all of the riders racing on identical R3 machines supplied by Yamaha. And the top 9 riders on the grid for race number 2, well, their grid positions are determined by what they did in qualifying 24 hours ago. If we look then at the former champions, Alessandro Di Persio was the champion last year. The series has been running since 2021, Iker Garcia becoming victorious then. Eamon Bocanegra sits in the middle of the front row of the grid, the black helmet, the number 23. He leads the championship, and he has the honour, actually, of being the rider that won the final race of last season in Estoril, and bookending that with a win yesterday. As I said, there are 11 nationalities on the grid. The top 4 from last year have all moved on to various different championships. And some of the big names as this warm-up lap gets underway here. Some of the other names that you may be familiar with. Aldi Mahendra, the first ever Indonesian world champion. He won the World Supersport 300 series a couple of years ago. Also was on the podium this year in World Supersport. So if ever you need a poster boy, if we can say that, in terms of riders progressing through the ranks, Aldi Mahendra would be one. Alessandro Di Persio, Araya Gasca, both in the top 4. Di Persio winning last year, both moving up to World Sport Bike. Iker Garcia, the first ever champion, now racing in the Junior GP Championship in Stock 600. Mario Sales, a rider that we don't see on the grid this year, and from a personal point of view, especially for the British fans, I know we'll be a little bit disappointed, and oh, goodness me, there has been some incident here on the warm-up lap. We don't quite understand what has happened there, but there's obviously been a coming together on the warm-up lap, and that is going to cause a bit of a delay here as the riders come onto the back straight, and that is the number 5 and the number 10. So the number 5 is Chris Clark, and the number 10 is Francisco Perez. So Again, not sure what is happening. I'm looking at the same pictures as you. As soon as we get an update, we will let you know. But an incident on the warm-up lap. And as I said, what I was talking about there was some of the riders that have moved on. Other riders, too, that have moved on. If we look at Cameron Swain, the Australian, he now racing in BSB. Dennis Bergamini riding for the new Italian Ducati V2 Championship, which will be a support race for us later in the year in Misano. So some names then that you will be familiar with, and Mario Sales, as I was saying, not just a race winner in this category, also a winner for the last 2 years of the Two Wheels for Life charity concert at Donington Park, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in Aragon. That's the championship then as it stands. Boccanegra leading the championship from Mendes, Binder, Pastore and Clark. The incident, as I said, involved riders number 5 and 10. And I think we may be getting a bit of a delay here. We can see some of the officials moving in. Big crowd here in the grandstands. There was a big crowd here yesterday as well, down in the paddock. And yeah, we are going to have a delayed start here, which is never nice for the riders. All that preparation, of course, that goes into building up for the start. And then we have a bit of a delay. Whilst we have a little bit of a delay, let me give you some more information that you might find interesting as we move on in this championship. As I said, there have been 20 riders since 2021 that have taken a pole position. Charlie Mendes from the Dominican Republic. And again, if you were listening to the broadcast yesterday, Charlie does a lot of training, or has done a lot of training on mini bikes in the Dominican Republic. A couple of other riders, certainly the Brazilian riders, of which we have several. Eamon Boccanegra, Heitor Santana, who had a very good debut ride yesterday, did Santana, finished inside the top 10 for the first time. So whilst we have a bit of time, let's give you a quick recap, albeit without pictures, of what happened yesterday. It was a pretty good start. Everybody made it safely through the first couple of corners. There was a little bit of a breakaway in the first couple of laps, and then that group, as we have seen so many times in this championship, concertinaed back together. We ended up having an 8 or 9 rider group. It was an 18-wheeler. The crowd here loving it, and I'm sure the tens of thousands of people watching on the Yamaha YouTube channel enjoyed it as well. There were a couple of incidents on track, a couple of riders collecting each other, which is so easy to do here at this Balaton Park circuit. It's one of the most technical tracks. It's probably got the slowest average speed that we go to, but it doesn't detract from the racing. We saw a couple of the front runners, Kento Turner, one of the riders that went down, Kakeru Okanuki, who had a couple of podiums last year as well. He also hit the deck. Everybody, all riders were okay, which is always good news. And as you can see, the start delayed. Again, if you are thinking of coming to a future round of the World Superbike Championship, the Yamaha R3 BLU CRU series runs alongside 6 events. It's a great addition to the championship, and you will often see riders from Superbike and Supersport watching on as they look at the stars of the future, starting their journey on the SBK roadway. Yesterday then, if we run through the top 15, as I've said, it was Eamon Boccanegra from Charlie Mendes, and first-time podium for the Swiss rider Alessandro Binder. Emanuele Pastore, the Italian, finished in 4th place. As we get a look there at the rider that will start from pole position. 1:58.8, Angelo Motola. And what can he do? Motola last year did race in the series. Motola finished in 12th place last year with 57 points. There is Boccanegra, top 6 overall last year with 123 points. But he scored 25 already this season, so 98 more, and he'll beat what he did last year. Last year's champion, though, De Persio, was pretty impressive. He ended the season with 255 points. And it looks as though now we are going to be getting ready for a restart. I think this race is going to be reduced. And it has indeed. So the race is reduced to 9 laps. It will be a 9-lap race, slightly shorter. All of the riders then getting an extra warm-up lap. Looks like the British rider Greg Marshall making his debut in the series. There is Nathan Betancourt. As I said, he became the second American to score points. Young Greg Marshall. 2 British riders in the series this year, and of course Fenton Seabright, several times a winner in this championship. Lucky Fenton, actually, not to win the championship a few years ago. He's moved on, so both Charlie Huntingford and Greg Marshall looking to make a name for themselves. Keep your eyes out too for the young Dutch rider Indy Schunselaar, riding under number 21. He was another rider that unfortunately went down in yesterday's race. Perfectly okay. He was in the points here last year, 15th place in race number 2 for Indy Schunselaar. And keep your eyes out too for Daniel Krabacher, the young Austrian. He's starting a little bit further back on the grid than he would like, but he too has been a point scorer in the past. Does a lot of training with Loris Veneman, multiple race winner in World Supersport 300, and of course this year in World Sportbike. The temperature creeping up. It's up to almost 30 degrees now, track temperature, as the riders come around turn 11 and then into the second of the chicanes. There's 4 chicanes here around the circuit, from turn 5, 6 and 7. That is quite a fast chicane. The corners flow from one to the other, and then you get into these very stop-start sections, and that really does make for good racing. It keeps the group together. It's very, very unlikely that we're going to see somebody pulling away. As I said, if you are enjoying our broadcast, we'll be broadcasting at every single race. You can follow everything too, not just on World SBK, but also on the official Yamaha channels on social media. There's a reminder of the championship. We will not see Chris Clark in this race, and unfortunately for the American, he's going to have to come back swinging at the next round of the championship, which takes place at Motorland Aragon. Right then, here we go for the second time of asking. The Subaru safety car, driven by Livio De Stefanis, moves into position. The all-electric Solterra. And the flag marshal in a moment will move to the side of the circuit. And for the second time of asking in 2026, the 21 riders that we have left for the start of this race will be racing. It's race number 2 of the Yamaha R3 BLU CRU World Cup, and this time we got a good start. There was a jump start yesterday. Hopefully we get a clean start. Fastest lap yesterday, last year was Okanuki, as they come down into turn 1. A little bit tight, a little bit of squeezing, but as yesterday, I think we're all going to safely make it through the first corner, and we do. Good job, boys, as we come through turn 2 into turn 3, and now this snake of riders as they head through turn 3, down through turn 4, and onto the back straight we will go in a second. The whole pack then all together, and it is Charlie Mendes who has taken the lead from the championship leader Boccanegra. Motola from pole position has been shuffled back into third, but it's a strong start from the Italian. It's also a strong start from Emanuele Pastore, who has also made a good start, and so too Okada, Hinata Okada in 10th position on the grid earlier in the weekend, but he's had a good start and has moved up into P5. Binder, who was on pole position yesterday, goes through the first split, and there you see the back 2 riders not taking part. Already then they're fanning out on the inside. Pastore taking a look, and again, you've got to be so committed through those first couple of chicanes. You don't want to make a mistake. You cannot win the race in the first couple of corners, but you can lose it. Same can be said for the championship. Points make prizes. It's not always the fastest rider that wins the championship. It is the rider that is most consistently fast, and I've said that so many times throughout my broadcasting career. Through the second chicane we go. There is a nice little look at the 21 of Okada, one of 5 Japanese riders in this race. As they head down in towards the final chicane. We saw lots of drama here yesterday in Supersport. There's a lovely little move then at that chicane from Pastore. That was a carbon copy yesterday of what we saw from Valentin de Beest and Albert Arenas on Jan Onshu. So taking notes from some of the riders in the bigger classes. One of the riders at the back there running wide, I think that was Bertie that just ran across the green. Track limits, of course, only apply if you touch the green. They again go down 3 abreast into turn 1. Everybody just easing their way into the race. Of course, it is now only a 9-lap race. Everybody on identical machines. Motola I've got to say, this is a strong start from the young Italian, just 16 years of age. Started strongly in a couple of races last year. He did have a bit of a reputation of just being in the wrong place at the wrong time, but he's in the right place at the right time now. Mottola makes a move for the lead, and he takes it. Great job. Angelo Mottola then leads a race in 2026 for the very first time. This will give the youngster a lot of confidence. His two teammates were very, very strong yesterday. Mottola finished in 9th position, so a solid... 9th position, solid 7 points on the board for Mottola. Just checking my notes there, getting confused. It was Santana that finished in 10th. So Mottola riding very, very well. Last year, of course, he said at some of the races, didn't know the track. He got a little bit overwhelmed and just said he needed to reset. He's had a couple of months over the winter to do that. He's come back very strong. As you see our timing graphics moving around, I always feel sorry for the poor guy or girl in the TV compound, especially in the R3 BLU CRU World Cup, because the positions change often quicker than we can even say the names. And all of the guys doing a great job at World SBK TV, as it's now Pastore. So we have two Italians. In the middle is the rider from the Dominican Republic. Where's the championship leader, Boccanegra? Well, he has now been shuffled back behind the number 18, and that is Riichi Takahira. And Takahira, he finished in 7th place yesterday. So good start for the Japanese rider. Keep your eyes on the number 3 as well. There he is with the black helmet, just takes a look on the inside as Mendes now goes through into the lead. And this whole group has now bunched itself back together again. It's a leading group of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 riders in this leading group, covered by 1.7 seconds at the end of lap number 2. To lap number 3 we go then. Nobody making a break. It's exactly as I thought it would be. There are a couple of circuits on the calendar that we go to where it is possible to make a break, but at the moment everybody still together. You can see they're even back towards 15th and 16th position. They're only about 3 seconds, in fact 3.3 seconds from this leading group. So all 21 riders that started this race are still on 2 wheels. It's a pretty respectful race at the moment. If you are new to this category of racing, expect the fireworks to go off when there's a couple of laps to go. 3, 4 abreast now into turn 8 and 9, through turn 10. Everybody riding line astern. Up into 4th place now goes the number 3 of Turner. And Turner last year finished 9th in the championship. 2 podiums for him, the first coming in Misano, the last coming in Estoril. And Turner was unlucky yesterday to be caught up in that incident. It took him and his compatriot out. Fastest lap of the race is Marx, and that is the number 9, the Brazilian, Leonardo Marx. And he too was having a really good run yesterday until it all kind of went wrong, and he was another rider that just found himself in the wrong place at the wrong time. The leading 15 riders are covered by 1.7 seconds. And then just behind the number 21 of Okada, that is Santana, and Daniel Krabacher, the Austrian rider, has now moved up into 15th, and he's just ahead of Indy Schuntelaar. And there's a lovely little look there on the inside from Takahira, the rider there riding now in only his 2nd race. The very distinctive yellow helmet made a bid for victory yesterday, and it just got a little bit out of shape in the final chicane. He went in very, very deep, managed to keep it on 2 wheels, so there was no penalty, but that shuffled him back into 7th position. The number 18 I am talking about. You can barely see him. He is crouched down behind the fairing as the 55 now of Pastore. It's Italy versus Japan versus Dominican Republic versus Switzerland, and there's another change at the front. And for the first time this season, it is Turner's turn to lead here at Balaton Park. See that leading group now just starting to stretch. The top 13 now have pulled a little bit of an advantage. Changes a little bit further back for 18th, 19th, 20th. There are fights up and down this field, as I said, with 11 returning riders. we have 12 rookies. They all have their own story to tell, and one of the things I will be doing during our live broadcast through the year, as we did a little bit yesterday, talking about Nathan Betancourt and Charlie Huntingford, I'm going to try to pick a couple of riders, a couple of the new riders at each of the races, and just give a little bit of a spotlight to them so that the people watching can actually look at some of the new names. All of these riders successful in their native countries. The BLU CRU initiative is active all around the world. And, thanks to Yamaha for putting this program together. It's a real stepping stone, as we've said already, with the likes of Aldi Mahendra moving up into the World Supersport Championship. I was actually in Cremona a couple of weeks ago for the official launch of the 2026 season. Stefano Manzi was out on circuit, and I tell you what, some of the faster riders in this championship, they were giving the elbows to Stefano Manzi. He looked a little bit worried during the training sessions. Oh, and down in the back of the picture, that's the first incident as we start talking about the chaos at the opening round. And is that Okada again? I think it is. That could be the 21 of Hinata Okada, who possibly has gone down for the second race in 2 days. I think it was. Let's just have a little bit of a look. It was indeed, and it was the number 8 as well, and that is Rintaro Takamoto. So Takamoto out, and Marquez out as well. So that is 3 riders on the floor, and that really now has split the group. It's now a leading group of 9, and that is always the problem. Not just in this category, when you've got these groups together, one little mistake on the brakes, and because they're so tightly packed, you can often see incidents where riders go down. Riders are okay. A little bit further back there, look at this battle for 15th position, and it's a great fight off camera between Greg Marshall, Huntingford, Betancourt and Guimarães. So 4 riders there fighting it out over the final point, and nice to see that battle at some point in the race. 5 laps remaining then. We're on the halfway lap. 3 riders out, but it is Emanuele Pastori that still leads this race. Charlie Mendez, the number 6, have to say, so impressed with this young teenager from the Dominican Republic. Had a good couple of races last year. Scored his first podium in race 1 in Estoril. He was a regular point scorer, and like a lot of these riders in year 1, the key is all about learning. Got to think about the long game. Some of these riders just 14 and 15 years of age. If you look at the careers of the likes of Jonathan Ray, for example, he is, of course, edging towards 40 years of age, and he still had a great career. Valentino Rossi, certainly, as far as some of the greats go. And we've got another rider on the floor. Oh, and that's Charlie Huntingford. What a shame for the young British rider in the points yesterday, and a small mistake. He crashes out with just 4 laps remaining, but he can for sure move on to the next round with some confidence and with his head held high. Point in your debut race is nothing too shabby at all, and he will have learned a lot from that. Right then, down the back straight we go again. 3 abreast, 4 abreast, 5 abreast, and it's the same behind them as well. Is that Gomez? It is. So Mauro Gomez, the Spanish flag then on the back of the number 7's leathers. He has now absolutely joined this fight. It's as though Marques from Brazil has rejoined. He's 33 seconds behind this group. Again, as I've said, points make prizes. 15 riders will score points in this race. 25 points for the win, 20 for second, 16 for third, 11 and 10, and then all the way down to 1 championship point. Still, Pastore is leading. Very different race this. If you were watching yesterday, we saw lots of overtakes, riders moving forward and backwards. Everybody seemingly content to follow line astern here, which just makes me think that we're going to be in for one hell of a final lap, folks. If you are just joining us, wherever you're joining us from around the world, and there is the proof that Leo Marques has rejoined. We've seen so many times championships won in the past by just half a point. I do remember back in France, I think it was, Magny Cours, with Tom Sykes losing the World Championship to Max Biaggi by half a point. So good effort that from Marques, as we now focus on this leading group with just 3 laps remaining. It's still a leading group of 10. And there on the inside is the number 85, the rider from Switzerland. That's going to get very tight into turn 1, and Mottler gives him room. Got to say, there's some very respectful racing going on here as Binder goes back to the lead. A few people saying to me yesterday, is he related to Brad Binder? No, he's not. They are completely different nationalities, just with the same surname. But I tell you what, Binder must be the name, because this Binder in particular is certainly very, very quick, as is Mendes. And you can see here the parity of the bikes as they now go 4 abreast. Slipstream coming into effect, and there's going to be another move there from Mottler, and Mottler moves from 4th back into 2nd. This is, it's called a chicane, but it's not really a chicane. It's more of a 3 or 4 sweeping corners, and all of a sudden Binder, that was in the lead, is shuffled back into 4th place. The leading 4 now with a 2 or 3 bike length advantage. That's going to be eroded on the brakes. Mottler now goes back into the lead. Binder goes back into 3rd place. And as we get the next shot, I'm sure they're all going to be back together, and they are. It's just the nature of the circuit. Round the final corner, or rather round turn 11, that's where we would have the long lap loop. Thankfully, no jump starts today, no long lap penalties. So all of the riders following the rules. And I have to say, I've commentated on a lot of races, especially in the entry-level classes. This is a very respectful race from all of these riders. They can all be commended for their racecraft. We've seen some very nice moves. We've seen some great defensive riding, and it's Mottler who just has this new air of confidence around him. I spoke to him on Thursday when we were filming some things for the social media channels, so do go online and look at that, worldsbk.com, and of course Yamaha Racing Official on Instagram. Make sure you're following them for all the latest from this amazing championship. As again we come down, then the legs are flapping from the 23. Boccanegra is trying to pass 2 of them on the inside. He had to think better of that, and Boccanegra only, I think, moves up 1 position into 3rd position. He's now trying to go around the outside. Well, that is not going to work, and it doesn't. So Boccanegra slots back into 4th position. Is he a little bit compromised then through turn 4? No, he just closes the door on Binder. With a lap and a half remaining, Pastore, Mottler, Mendes, Boccanegra, Binder and Germano. Salvatore Germano doing a great job here. Haven't really mentioned him in the broadcast. He finished in all but 2 of the races last year as Boccanegra again thinks about making a move on the inside. Mendes takes the lead but runs a bit wide, and Mottler, talking about confidence, just swings the Yamaha R3 back across the front of his rival and retakes the lead. I told you it was building. We saw it yesterday. I think we're going to start seeing a bit of rubbing. Rubbing is racing after all as they come down into the braking zone, and Pastore is so tight on the inside, and he gets squeezed, and somehow Germano makes his way through. Salvatore Germano, whose best result was 6th position in race number 1 at Donington Park. What a difference a year makes, as down the back straight we go then with 1.5 laps remaining. Any one of 10 riders can still win this 2nd race of the season. And there's the Spanish flag. Just as well, some of these riders don't have wing mirrors, because they'd be looking straight back into the bespectacled face of Mauro Gomez. Gomez, who raced in the Spanish Championship for the Arco Racing team last year in Supersport 300. He's not been really featuring in this race. Quite happy, quite content to sit there in 9th or 10th position, and the cameraman now absolutely correctly picking him up. This is a great final part of the race then from Mauro Gomez as we come across the line. 10 riders in it, only 3 of them can be on the podium. Here we go then, the final lap, Le Dernier Tour, Le Schnetzerunde. Here we go then into turn 1. There's going to be a move from Boccanegra. He can't make it through. Everybody, oh, and down goes one of the riders in the leading group, and that was Salvatore. Oh, it wasn't, it was Pastore. It was Pastore, Emanuele Pastore, who was fighting for the podium yesterday. A double 6th place 12 months ago, and unfortunately for Pastore, he is on the floor. So then, there were 10, now there are 9, as we come down the back straight once again. Mendes looking to win. It would be a first win for the Dominican Republic. This would be a sensational result, but again, look at that. Cool as a cucumber, smooth like a knife through butter. Mottler retakes the lead, and he was 5th a couple of moments ago. You don't want to be leading down the back straight. Mottler, it doesn't matter if he gets overtaken, he goes defensive. There's going to be a move here. Here comes Boccanegra, the winner from yesterday. That's going to get very, very tight. Into the penultimate chicane we go, and somehow they all manage to stay on 2 wheels. Brilliant racing. Boccanegra again looking for a way through, and he manages to force his way through at turn 11. But Mottler now with a small advantage. I don't think it's enough. What Mottler needs now is the fighting behind, and Mendes, and that is Boccanegra trying to go around the outside now. Through the chicane we go. There's only a couple of corners remaining. It's going to come down to the final corner, folks. Hold your breath. Mottler is looking for what would be a career first podium. He's going to get swallowed up. You can see the handlebar there, the brake guard has been shuffled. Oh, and that was tight. Hold your breath. I almost fell off the chair on the stage. It's getting that exciting into the final corner. It's been a brilliant final lap, though, for Charlie Mendes, but Mottler on the slipstream towards the line. It's going to be a photo finish. Oh, and I'm not sure I can call that. I think it was Charlie Mendes that got the victory. I think Mottler has taken a first ever podium finish. We're going to wait for the confirmation of that as the riders continue to fight for the final couple of points. A lovely little celebratory wheelie there from Charlie Mendes, who has been one of the fastest riders throughout this weekend. Let's just wait and see. I'm sure it was Mottler finishing in 2nd position, the Italian getting his first ever World Cup result. Well, certainly in terms of podium, he's had some good results before. It is confirmed then, Charlie Mendes wins, and for the first time, as far as I'm aware, the Dominican Republic has a winner in the Yamaha R3 Blue CRU. Absolutely superb stuff. Well done to Charlie Mendes, well done to Mottler, and Eamon Boccanegra finished on the podium, so a win and a 3rd place for him. And that's a double podium for BGR Smerts. Binder, who finished in 3rd place yesterday, finishes in 4th. And then it was Germano following behind Germano. That's his best result as well, so well done to him. Gomez in the top 6, another solid result for him. That's a double top 6 for the Spaniard. Takahira, Turner, Okanuki gets his first point. Santana, Krabacha, Berti, Schunselaar, Pastore, and Greg Marshall becomes a British rider with a point, scores his first World Cup point in race number 2. So well done there to Schunselaar, to Pastore, and to Marshall. Here's a replay then towards the line. This is how close it was. Oh, 22/100ths of a second and less than 1/10 of a second covering the top 3. Absolutely brilliant racing. Mendes then will celebrate, and rightly so. Charlie Mendes has come back this year with so much confidence. As I said, he was fastest in free practice. He took the pole position. He was happy, albeit a little bit disappointed yesterday, to only finish in 2nd. I say only finish in 2nd. I'm not sure I would even score a point, but he has done a great job this week, and a double podium for him. Boccanegra as well, a win and a 3rd. Mendes, by my calculations, will take the lead in the championship by 4 points. Binder will be, I think, 3rd in the championship as well, so great weekend for a few names, a couple of new names as well, which is always very, very nice to see. Right then, the riders make their way down into the pit lane. And then this feature that we have in the World Superbike Championship, the top 3 riders will be signalled to go along the pit lane. As Charlie is now, he will then turn right and go down the victory lane, the Motul victory lane here, to the applause of the crowd. And I can see from my vantage point here on the Paddock Show stage, huge crowd, and then this unique feature, high-fiving all of the fans. What an amazing feeling that must be for Charlie Mendes. And he gives a nice little rev of the bike there as he makes his way into the Parc Fermé. Once the top 3 riders are down here, as we can now see Boccanegra arriving, Angelo Mottler also, I'm sure, will be very, very happy indeed with that result. We will get an interview from the race winner, The riders will then move across to the paddock show. And of course, that is where our podiums happen. We'll celebrate down here as we have a look then at the results. Mendes gets the win from Motola and Boccanegra. Binder, Germano, Gomez, Takahira, Turner, and Okanuki. Santana, Krabaka, Berti, Schunselaar, Pastori, and the final World Cup point goes to Britain's Greg Marshall. A couple of riders on the floor there. We send our best wishes to Clark and Pires and wish them a speedy recovery for the next race of the championship. And you can see there just what it means. Jakob Schmerz, the gentleman there with the sunglasses and the beard, former frontrunner in the 250 World Championship, former poleman in World Superbike, and he's running 3 riders this year. Chris Clark, who unfortunately crashed in that race, Binder, who finished 4th, and Angelo Motola, who gets his first result on the podium in 2nd position. The presentations will be made by Michael Blash, who is now standing alongside me in my vantage point, and I'm sure he enjoyed that race as well. And Michael Blash, the senior advisor for the Yamaha Motor Racing Europe. Just seeing there, looked as though that was Charlie just getting a little bit excited. Let's hear from him now then. Your race winner for race 2, Charlie Mendes.
It was a difficult race.
Charlie Mendes, first win in the R3 World Cup and a first win for the Dominican Republic. How was that?
It was a difficult race because I tried to break the group, but the group is still like all the group. And in the last lap, I managed to get the win, and I get it. And I want also thank my team, my mechanic, and my family.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. The first World Cup win from a rider from the Dominican Republic, and this is how he did it. Motola was a little bit exposed there. There was always going to be a move. Motola tried to hang it out. There was no way through. Motola, though, aggressive, laid it over the front of Boccanegra. Binder almost runs into the back of the leading 3, but in the end, it was a perfectly timed maneuver to win by 22 1/1000ths of a second. And you can see them both looking at each other on that slow-mo as they come across the line. And then was the realization, the moment dawned, that Charlie Mendes is a World Cup winner. And I tell you what, you can even wheelie an R3. That's impressive, isn't it? Fair play. Oh, and he showboats as well. That is brilliant. Absolutely superb. Nice little wheelie there from the winner. So as you can see then, the riders now being moved through the back of the Parc Fermé. They get weighed, and then, of course, they make their way to the podium. And as it says on the backdrop there, pure motorsport. Everything we do in the World Superbike paddock is designed for the fans. And there's a look at these incredible Yamaha R3 machines. Actually got to ride one of these in the US a couple of years ago in Pittsburgh, and they are very, very nice machines to ride. I certainly wasn't riding them as fast as these youngsters, but it was a lot of fun. Right then, we wait for the riders for the second time of asking, and here we go then. In 3rd place, Eamon Boccanegra. And he now comes up onto the podium. Big smiles from him, championship leader. 2nd place to Angelo Motola. First time for the very likable Italian on the podium. And taking his first race win and the first for the Dominican Republic, Charlie Mendes makes his way onto the podium, and a very nice, appreciative crowd here basking in the Balaton Park sunshine. As I said, Yamaha Motor Europe Road Racing Senior Advisor Michael Blash will now begin the presentations, and he'll present firstly to Eamon Boccanegra from Brazil in 3rd place. And I'm sure there'll be a few words exchanged there between Michael and Eamon, and poses for a picture as well. Yeah, nice words. And then we'll have the second presentation made for the first time in his career to Angelo Motola. And Angelo, I'm sure, will be very, very happy indeed with this result, and rightly so. His first, I'm sure, of many. Congratulations. And taking the 25 points and the race winners trophy from the Dominican Republic, Charlie Mendes. What a sensational weekend for this young man. Pole position, a podium yesterday, and he gets his first ever victory in the Yamaha R3 BLU CRU World Cup. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to show our respect to the national anthem of the race winner, the national anthem of the Dominican Republic. Congratulations to the top three. And we'll, of course, now the top three will usually come together on the top step for the official photograph as the podium concludes here in Balaton Park. What a fantastic race. The riders then just picking up the helmets. Tell you what, this is one for the record books, isn't it, for those three riders? Absolutely brilliant racing. Eamon Boccanegra, your championship leader, Angelo Motola in second place, and Charlie Mendes taking the race win. Crowd down here very appreciative. And of course, from here, we move on to Aragon. Let's have a look then at the results. Confirmed again, Mendes, Motola, Boccanegra. Gomez gets a double top six. Turner in 8th position, and Kakeru Okanuki in 9th place. As we've already seen there, Rogero Berti gets his first points, as does Greg Marshall. Our final two finishers, Guimarães and Nathan Betancourt. Good job to all of the finishers. A few riders, of course, will look to bounce back at the next round in a couple of weeks. In terms of the championship after the first two races looks like this. My maths weren't too bad. It's a 4-point lead then for Charlie Mendes ahead of Eamon Boccanegra, and Binder moves up into 3rd place in the championship. Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed our broadcast. That is it from me, Michael Hill, as we'll leave you with the other riders that have scored points. We'll see you in Motorland Aragon for round number 2.